Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we have two changelogs to go through in War Thunder for you today, and they are pretty nice, to be honest. You know how over the last few months there's been a good discussion around parts and FPE, their use in the game, what should be done about them, all of this. Well, it seems like after the changes that were done before to parts and FPE, well, to research mainly, a few weeks ago, where now we are generally getting more research, depending on how well you do in a game, which is great, you know, skill-based research and all of that. Now we're getting the changes to parts and FPE that hopefully people will be happy with. So the first one is the server update. This happened on the 11th of November, and the first bit of it is in Assault. Let's just get rid of this for you. There we go. In Assault Ground Battles Arcade Mode at battle rating 8.3+, so we're talking about rank 6 here, the vehicle lineup given to the players in aircraft strikes has been changed. For 8 destroyed enemies, you'll be able to choose helicopters with ATGMs instead of bombers, or for 3, a helicopter with unguided rockets instead of an attacker, and for 2, a fighter, as before. So they're adding in some different options, so they're getting rid of bombers and attackers and adding in a helicopter with ATGMs and a helicopter with unguided rockets, but you need 8 destroyed enemies for that, which seems very, very high. And to be honest, the natural counter to this helicopter is a fighter, which only costs 2. So the balancing in that seems a little bit off, in my opinion. Only needing 2 for a fighter to counter something that's going to cost you 8? That seems a little bit high. But I suppose it depends where the helicopter spawns, where the fighter spawns, how long it's going to take them to get over there, and also the support that the helicopter gets. Because remember, the enemy team could spawn a fighter, but so could your team. So overall, I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. They're obviously putting a heavy emphasis on the usefulness of a helicopter with ATGMs, and it is, you know, a helicopter with ATGMs, especially when we look at an AH-1Z or an Mi-35M with a 16 each, they can take over battles if they're allowed to. In Arcade, I'm not sure that's going to be exactly the case because you have the timers on it. You also have the issue with people multiple spawning. You know, everybody gets 3 spawns, so taking out, let's say about 10 targets, you know, that's going to flatten 3 players completely, and 3.5 players. So that could do a lot, but taking out that many may be quite hard to do. I think overall, I would say it's a little bit high, 8 destroyed enemies. I'm sure they have stats backing it up and stuff, but just from first glance, seems very high. I don't know a lot of times where 8 is a number which is easily reached. So they're probably trying to take it away from the average person and give it to the really skilled people at top BRs. The next one, a bug where the SA-313B Alouette helicopter had only 1 respawn in ground and helicopter battles instead of 2, has been fixed. So it has 2 now. That means it's double as effective. The algorithm of the default modification selection has been changed. So for ground vehicles, by default, now have parts and FPE as a priority. Destroyers and cruisers now have the toolset and fire protection system by default, and all other vessels, the seakeeping and unsinkability modification group will now be by default. This means if you, for example, purchase a tank, the parts modification will be chosen automatically for research. So before, what would happen is the tracks or the wheels would be researched first. Now they've just changed it so the default modification that you get is parts, and I think that is a good idea. For the majority of vehicles out there in ground forces, parts are much more important than horizontal turret drive or tracks. So getting that and getting it done is it will just help you out in the long run. And now, since they've changed it, so you only need 1 modification to get, the second tier and get to FPE, it will now be a lot easier and a lot more automated getting these things, and also in ships as well, so that's good. For the other vessels, though, they're the seakeeping and unsinkability modification group will now be by default. I think I'll show you that, just to show you what that means. If we go to my D3 here, So you see how you have sea keeping here, you have unsinkability here. So if we look at what it says, all other vessels, the sea keeping and unsinkability modification group will now be by default. So it's basically talking about these two here instead of something else. So yeah, that's how that's going to work. I think overall it's a nice quality of life change. It means that every time you research a new vehicle, you don't have to change what modification you're researching. The majority, I'd say 95% of the time, you want to get parts first. There are a few vehicles out there where parts won't really help you, so it's much better to get one of the other ones. Or if you're in a really bad maneuverable, a vehicle which struggles with maneuverability, you might want to get tracks first. But the amount of times that happens, it's a dime a dozen. So, let's get on to the next update. The next one just came out today, I believe, and this is kind of weird. So, this is the 5th of the 11th. I've just realized, right, I have a new PC, and I've had this new PC for a few months, and I've just realized that I've been reading the damn dates upside down for the longest time. Because for me, I read it like this, right? But for Americans, it would be 11/05/2018. I don't know why, but I've been thinking it's the 10th and the 11th of November for like a week now. God damn. Wow. I need to get with the times. Anyway, update 1.83.0.60. What does this bring us? Well, it brings us some wonderful things, may I say. The first one is that the RP cost of parts and FPE modifications has been reduced for ground vehicles. And in rank 5, it's reduced by 35%, and in rank 6, 70%. 70%. That is insane. I don't think I have to I don't even have to explain how insane this is, right? But that is a huge cut in how much it's going to cost you to get parts and FPE, plus the change where they've made it so you can get more research per battle now. You know, they've taken off the research cap. Plus the fact that we have, you know, it done by default. Plus the fact that now, with rank 1 and 2, you know, you only need one modification research between them. Gaijin have gone way beyond expectations when it comes to what the community asked for. And I think they should be, you know, congratulated for that, to be quite honest. A lot of people wanted, you know, reduction in parts and FPE. There were a few people out there who believed that they should be free, they should be stock. Now, we knew that was never going to happen, but reducing them by 70%, that's insane. Plus all the other things I mentioned. That is great. Now, there is a caveat, of course, because there always is. This reduced cost will be active for 4 months until the 1st of March 2019, and then these changes are not final and may be amended in the future. The final decision as to these costs will be made after the end of this trial. So right now we're on a trial period. The trial is parts and FPE modifications have been reduced by this much. After the 1st of March, it will be reviewed and it will either be kept or not kept. But during this period, they have it's kind of legalese in a way, but they've basically left themselves up to be able to change it at any time. But right now, as this changelog, this update has come in, they've dropped them by 70%. 70. Now, some of you may be thinking, why the 1st of March? Because that's one thing that I first thought when I read this. Why only 4 months? Or why not 3 months? Why not 5 months? Why is this? Well, the only thing that I can think of that it may be to do with is the update cycle that we have in War Thunder. So, if you want to know the update cycle, here you go. Last year, when we look at 2017, let's see when this one was. Was this 2016? No, this was 2017. And then this was December, correct? Yes. So every year, it's very easy to tell when stuff is going to come out, at least over the last few years. And I'll show you why. So this is all the stuff that we got last year. We got Assault, which came out on the 18th of March, 2017. Then we got Regia Aeronautica, 25th of May. New ARA, 18th of September, Vive la France, 1st of November, and then La Resistance, 19th of December. Okay? Now, if we have a look at the other year, which is this year, we have a few different ones. So the first one is Advancing Storm. Once again, start of March. Then Project X, we have it in June, so that's a little bit earlier than normal. Then we have September, Valkyries. Actually, no, this one's a little bit late than normal. This one is bang on time, the Valkyries. This one is a little bit earlier than normal, Masters of the Sea. So this is why a lot of people are saying update 1.85 should come out this year. Because if we look at the past 2 years, we've had that many updates per year, and also they've stuck to the same timeline. Also on top of this, when it comes to everything else, they seem to release tech trees at the end of years. Ground forces went into beta, I believe, either at the end of a year, or at least going into January. I definitely remember that was a beta. We had the British premiums, which were released in December. We had the French tree in December as well. I also believe the Japanese were in December. Yes, so going into the new year, you normally get a new tree. Now, Masters of the Sea has given us 4 new trees, so we'll see how it goes from that point of view. But yes, I think personally, why they've set a limit of 4 months is because the next major update, if we look at just general timings and how they normally do stuff, will be around March. So that is we're going to probably have the next major update for us will be in December at some point, and then after that, for 4 months, we'll have a grace period where generally, we don't have any major updates, and then when March hits, this will be either kept, or it will be taken away, and then the next major update will come out. So my guess, this is a big guess, is we'll probably get some more very high tier stuff in March 2019. Now that is a guess, just remember. Bug fixes. A bug, which would cause the vertical reticules in aiming sights for vessels to be displayed thinner in 4K mode than in other resolutions, has been fixed. That's nice. A bug, where players could not repair their ground vehicles at a captured zone without having the parts modification, has been fixed. Thank you. That has been plaguing me. A bug, where free repairs could not be used in naval battles, has been fixed. This was something that was kind of interesting. I thought it was just something that they decided they weren't going to do. I just thought that they weren't going to give free repairs to ships, but it seems like they are. So now you can see my D3, even though it's fully spaded, I have 10 free repairs because I got the repairs after the fact that I spaded it. So it's nice that they've added that in. Means that it won't hit you so hard on the Silver Lions front. And also, it's just nice that you can test out a vehicle for 10 games, get some modifications that are required, such as the parts, such as, the FPE stuff in ships. So, yeah, I like that change. Obviously, it's only a positive from a community point of view. A bug with reward calculation in naval battles, where rewards for damaging targets were distributed incorrectly among attackers, has been fixed. Now, the problem with saying something has been fixed, it could go either one way or another. One thing that I found is, while doing assists, or hitting a person a lot, getting an assist, you would only get maybe 5 Silver Lions or 5 RP. And if that is what is being incorrect, and they've actually changed that, then that's great. But if they decide to go the other way, then we're, up shit's creek, basically, unless you are the person who gets the kill. So what we have to do is test that. We have to see which way that pendulum has swung. My hope is that it swung in the favor of you don't get too much for actually getting a kill for a vehicle, but it's all about the damage that you do, which was the main purpose of it in the first place. That's why they said they created this new system for ships. It would be much more based on how much damage you do instead of if you get the killing blow, where before, the last few weeks, it has felt like if you don't get the killing blow, you won't get the research. So, as I said, I hope that's changed. Just to give you some examples for the parts and FPE thing, just so I can, show you some differences at rank 6. The M1 Abrams, a tank that, everybody either reveres or loves. It's one of those Marmite things, depending on if you play America or not. If you play America, you love it, or, at least you think it's okay. And then if you play against it, you hate it. Now, let's do some comparisons. So right now, parts is 7,500 RP on the Abrams. Compared to a normal rank 1 modification, 25,000. So this parts used to be 25,000. Now it's 7,500. That is a wonderful change. And once you've unlocked this, FPE, 5,700 RP. Not bad, is it? Pretty damn good. Now, if we go to a vehicle that I've personally been enjoying but struggling with, if we go to the T62M right here, you can see that the parts, 7,500 compared to 25,000 again. 19,000 compared to 5,700. So they've purposely made it so the parts in FPE are the cheaper ones. And you know what has made me so happy in this? It's not the fact that everything got changed. It's not the fact that, we got reduced prices. It's the fact that my Chieftain Mark III, which I got a talisman on randomly, I finally have FPE on it and parts. Before, half a year ago, I unlocked this thing ages ago. But I didn't have parts. I kept getting cannon breach, and I was like, screw this. It's 33,000 for parts. Look. This, 33,000 for a rank 1 modification. So this will be a hell of a lot lower now. And look, 28,000 for FPE, but because it's a rank 6, it's been reduced by, 70%. So we're having a look at a number which is 3 times 7, 15, 18, 21. So this would actually cost you 12,000. Still crazy, compared to the Abrams and other machines. And then if we look at the adjustment of fire, 28,000, so that's 2,800 times 7 is a number which I don't want to work out right now. But basically, you're looking at around about maybe 10,000 on this. Probably a little bit less. But it means that I can now play my Chieftain. Something that I have not been able to do for half a year because I could not be bothered to grind through the muck of getting parts in FPE. And that to me is a victory in itself. It means that for me, I can now go and enjoy the Chieftain without having a plane strafe my deck, without having, something awful happening to it. Because if you look at the Chieftain, one of the biggest problems that this damn thing has is this, 13 millimeters, and everybody would set you on fire, and guess what? You can't do jack all with it. So I am very happy to see this reduced. Overall, this is an incredibly positive change from a community point of view. We're going to have to see if anything is going to be added in to try and counter this from a business point of view, because obviously you've got to remember if they've made parts in FPE cheaper, will this affect the amount of golden eagles people spend? Will this affect the amount of stuff like that that's going on, or will they not have a business proposal that will counter that, and instead will just be given this as kind of a sign of good graces? And I hope that's the case. Overall, 2 incredibly positive patches from a gameplay point of view. This should make grinding for people a lot easier. The only complaint, as I've said in the past, that I have is a simple one, which I've brought up many times. The fact that between rank 6 and rank 5, maybe the German tree would be better to show this. Yeah, so you go from 210,000 straight to 380. There needs to be mid-gaps here. There needs to be 240s, 270s and 300s instead of straight from 210 to 380. That's the only criticism I have. Everything else looks wonderful. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we have 2 changelogs to go for.